today's jeweler, what should they do? Should they focus on a niche and then diversify, or should they be a little bit generic and keep a little bit of everything?
Listen to your audience that you're connecting to and create things for the audience.
How does one then stand out in front of the current aggression of the contemporaries at a corporate level? Like, you're literally seeing all these biggies just vying for the market share of the regional brand, of the local brand.
Every retailer or every trade has its own circle. It is not important to go national to be visible. It's important to go in your own circle, and that's where you convert.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 4th episode of the Learnathon Podcast. And today we have a very, very special guest, an esteemed alumni of JK, the legacy holder of Popley Sons, Mr. Rajiv Popley himself.
Hello.
Thank you, sir, for doing this. Thank you very much. And welcome to the podcast.
My pleasure.
So just to directly start off, please tell us about your story first. Like, from the time you joined business
Sure.
till date, what has been your struggles or successes, challenges?
Well, it's been a long time since I've been at work. So, as I was saying, just soon as I was 16 odd years, I joined work. And since it's a family business, our entry into jewelry has been kind of from our childhood. So it's been evolved as the work and the family all go together. So it's our dinner meetings with my father, my holidays with my father, all business related always. So that's how the evolution happens in a family run business. We eat and drink and we sleep, work. Basically, that's how it happens, and that's evolved through the years. It's never a day that we know that from this day that we started work. It's been there ever since. So the whole idea of family-run business like ours, which is a 3-generation business, has been with the entire family being involved in the jewelry industry and at our work at the same time. So as I said, we've been there at work as children and grown up into the company and helped grow the company at the same time, evolve it through different stages. You can see the maturity of the industry as it has come from the years that we joined in 90s to where it is now. The entire look of primitive retail that the jewelry industry was earlier, and now to where we look at the jewelry industry, which is one of the foremost in whether it's technology, whether it's in exports, whether it's in the way retailing is done as luxury for the international businesses. All has been evolved through the time, and we've been fortunate to be a part of it, to see it evolve the same time.
Yeah, and for a very long time. And so almost 100 years,
Yes.
like a 100-year-old brand, you will be there in 3 years.
That's right.
How do you feel about it?
Oh, we're proud of taking this flag across the century benchmark, which has been a privilege to be a part of. At the same time, we've seen it grow, and we've understood the 100 years which have been spent in the company, not just by time, but being involved with clients, being involved with our second, third generation clients, in fact, which is where the pleasure comes from. We have been dealing with across families. It's more like the family doctor, family jeweler theory, and that's what has evolved the brand also the same manner. And we're surely proud of the entire exercise.
Yeah, I keep telling our students also that 2 people know everything about the family. One is a doctor, one is a jeweler. So,
That's right.
like, they know everything about family, who's
Yes.
the daughter, who's going to get married.
Surely, that's the whole connect that we have with the audience and with our clients throughout. So it's not just the wedding, or it's the entire celebration that we are part of always, and which is where the privilege comes from.
Right. So now the theme that we want to take up today is typically learning from an established brand like yours, your journey, your struggles, your challenges, how the retail landscape has evolved over the years,
Yeah.
specifically pre-COVID and post-COVID. So, do you think there is a drastic change after the entire COVID era?
Yeah, of course, everything has changed. Like you said, there's something like a pre-COVID and after COVID. Itself denotes that there's been an era which has changed psychologically, portrayal of the human psychic also, and at the same time, the preferences and the way people behave in every aspect of their life. Whether it is the way they shop, whether it's the way they live, everything has changed post-COVID. We've learned how close we could be with something that we don't like, and in every manner, whether it is life, whether it's death, whether it is illness, everything we've seen it just on our threshold, and that has changed everything that we've lived all through the years to achieve. So today, what we see, consumers are looking at self-satisfaction in a very big way. They are looking at self-shopping, which is an ultimate motive today, unlike which was before. They want to enjoy their today more than save for tomorrow. So that entire psychic behavior, everything has changed from consumer point of view. They feel the time is to make the best use of what they have, whether it's with the family, whether it's with the closed ones that they really appreciate, and spend and appreciate them the same way. So that's the way things have changed post-COVID. All this reflects into the way they live their life and the way they shop and do other things.
The way they travel also.
Everything. So the way they live their life is travel. They make the best use of the time. They want to spend time together with the family where they feel it's important to, and that's how they enjoy the entire aspect of whether it's a celebration, whether it's a matter of self-gifting or self-acknowledging things, within the family or within the circle that they live in. So these things have become important as a way of communication, and of course, jewelry becomes a very important part of this entire lifespan. So today that we see jewelry which is designed post-COVID in a particular way is designed for self-achievement, self-gifting, and products which are used in such kind of creations are very unique because they want themselves to be gifted in that manner which is bespoke, which is personalized to their taste more than just which is price-oriented or mass in a manner of understanding. So this entire scale of shopping, gifting oneself is very different to what we have seen it pre-COVID. And this is the change we feel will last for long now. And this is the way the entire collections have to be created. And this will sustain as a subject of, consumer psychic is concerned.
So as you said, the customers have a changed preference.
Yes.
The way they spend money is also very, very different today.
Yes.
I think they're spending a lot more than what they would have probably
Precisely.
5 years back.
Yes.
But does that also, give a rise to competing industries? Like, for example, today, is it that the jewelry industry is now competing with the travel and tourism industry for that space in the customer's mind?
We were always competing with industries away from just a jeweler to jeweler format.
Right.
Travel, white goods have always been a very serious competition for us as a category. Of course, this subject grows further as a matter of interest because these are the areas where spend will become more as a matter of consumer demand, and travel will be an important aspect along with even white goods. We understand the flair of especially the urban India that we see has a lot of influence on travel and on white goods. So this is where the subject will always be a concern, and we're happy to compete with it.
Nice. So in all these things, definitely personally at a customer level, I've seen a lot of change even from a tech point of view, like everybody on Zoom, everybody on their phones,
Yes.
the discovery happening for a
Yes.
particular brand through their phones, through Instagram.
Yeah.
From the back end, from a business perspective, what are the tech changes that you feel you've gone through?
So A is, as you said, communication. Communication platforms have changed for us.
Yeah.
From consumer point of view. We feel newspapers and the other print media is become dysfunctional in every manner. Our personal interest of communication also has moved digitally. In fact, we have an entire digital team in-house to cater to this subject only. We used to print magazines to communicate to our consumers. Now we do blogs. Everything is communicated to the audience through blogs, and that's how we prefer a connect. The quality of communication has improved because of digital communication, and it's faster, immediate, right now, or just an upload, the communication is done. Whereas entire communication of a magazine used to take months to publish and portray it across to the consumer. So the entire speed of communication has changed. Hence, we have to cope up with such speed demands, which is one part of it. And the other way that we see is consumers, since they have moved to their smaller screens in hand, the entire portrayal of the product, which was done through catalogs, has now become digital. So we have a full-fledged catalog which is online through our web portals. And of course, they are not only e-commerce supported, but even with higher-end technologies like AR and AI already inbuilt into the technology of servicing the clients. So our portals already have an AR and AI equipped websites which are servicing these same clients. And the fact that the entire audience has become global because of this digital world, my geographical reach has improved tremendously.
Nice.
Which is earlier we used to look at Bombay and Dubai where our stores are based. So the two zones used to attract audiences from the vicinities of the country and city that we are based in. But now it's obviously beyond shores in every manner. So we have a very strong base which is there from the other continents that we are able to service through the web portal. And again, with the help of video conferencing and other technology which is already equipped in the portal, this connect is much more easier as a matter of reach and on showing transparency of our products also.
So communication, one thing, from website, you integrated AI, AR, and that is actually wonderful because there are very, very few dwellers who've done that. And in fact, I can barely name a few who are at a very corporate level, such as Carrot Lane or somebody who has probably done it.
Yes.
But it's really good to hear some, like a brand like yours has, which is 100 years old almost, and still so tech friendly and tech savvy. That's very good to know. I want to take this. I'd kept the tech part late for the later, but I'm going to take it up right now again because since we are already there. So in terms of customer connect, the communication has changed. In terms of customer discovery also, like there is Instagram and people are just scrolling. Yes. There's interference. Do you see this as a hindrance at a personal level, not at a brand level? But do you see this as at a hindrance? And do you think that at some point of time in near future, things will suddenly evolve into something else?
So change is inevitable in every manner, whether it is communication, technology, whether you may call it improvements or you may call it changes and developments in the technology. Either ways, it's always going to happen. We've seen, as I said, a lot things changing through time, and creation of social media and communication of social media in a commercial manner of business is also part of the evolution. So it's not a question of whether we like it or not. It's adaptation which is most important. And as a brand which is 100 years old, we've learned this the harder way out. So we've adapted to changes. We've adapted to things which are required for communication. We've taken the leap, whereas technology is required. Like you said about web portals, we were one of the first jewelry companies in the country to start e-commerce way back in '99. When through Popley itself, Ganabez evolved much later.
Okay.
Popleys.com itself was the e-commerce portal.
Wow.
And we had tied up with earlier portals, the so-called marketplaces of those times, which were like Rediff and Bidobai and Bazi and all of those. We've done our entire work with
I was
those.
A kid then, so
precisely. That's the reason I said these are names which the current generation is not familiar with.
Yeah.
All we know as the current brand is eBay, but prior to eBay, there were 3 more generations prior to that, which happened on the evolution of e-commerce. So we've been there as adaptation to change, to the extent that even our ERPs, which we had formulated, which are specific to jewelry industry, were way back more than 20 years ago. So those things were still new in the industry to adapt to, whereas technology is concerned, many things were manually done, and so on and so forth. So certain things helped us to be one up to the extent of even manufacturing of 3D printed products. We've done it years ago. Technology came in mass much later. I was in fact involved myself in the creation of 3D Para, which is a 3D printing forum, one of the first for the country, which puts across 3D printing across industries. And I was the anchor for the jewelry industry, in fact. So all this happened years ago. So it's a matter of adaptation, from technology to manufacturing to technology to communication to technology to operations of the company. Everything has been an evolution by time. And we've been happy to be part of such a change. And the whole idea is adaptation more than, calling it a hindrance.
But this is more than adaptation. This is more like you're leading the change rather than adapting. Like especially in the jewelry industry.
So we understood the requirement. We feel it is inevitable to work out things without using such a technology. Like we did 3D printing around 20 years ago again, which was very new as a technology when we used to see this overseas as manufacturing expertise. India, being a labor intensive country, was not open to change of this kind. It was always easier and cheaper to work with a babu in front of you than adapt 3D printing. So that's the change that one has to take a call on, whether it's going to give you the finest products or not, because we understand there are certain limitations on fabrication which happens with handmade jewelry. But if you use 3D printing, we omit many of those. So if you see even things like hallmarking of gold, only when adaptation of higher end technology is possible, then gold purity can be maintained. Right. So it's all hand in hand. We were the first 50 jewelers in the country to get a BIS license as soon as it was launched. So again, that's a matter of time that we could achieve it because we already adapted many changes in the company to help get the better out of gold. And that's really important. So technology was important to be adapted. Otherwise, hallmarking of gold would not have been possible as a product category to be, service to the consumer across the category. Because if you see my store, it's got products which are handmade, machine made, casted, temple jewelry, oxidized. It's an entire bouquet of the jewelry, components. Everything getting hallmarked at that point of time, way back in 99, 2000, was not an easy job.
Very challenging.
After 25 years, you can say it's a piece of cake today, but not then. So these are things that we have done far before time to, get things ahead with. And we could forecast that hallmarking is coming in. We could forecast such things because we've been in the industry to understand the change coming up. Even things like platinum jewelry, we were the first ones to launch platinum in the country with PGI. There was no platinum jewelry sold in the country way back in 99. We were the first ones to do test marketing of platinum in India. And because we had adapted the technology and the expertise of managing such a subject, things were possible.
So you touched upon very important aspects because generally when I'm talking about tech, everybody thinks of tech in terms of, CRM, ERP, and you've literally gone way beyond or rather way behind the scenes and looking at 3D printing, CAD. So very interesting, and this is literally far beyond adaptation. And
so backward integration was always been a part of our job. End of the day, we were the first jewelry companies to fabricate jewelry and retail it, which was not done by jewelry retailers primarily. They were traders. So they used to buy from wholesalers and then sell to consumers. As a format of business, Popley has always been a fabricating company, more into design creation and then selling to the same consumer. So that's the change that we have in our back end. So that's how we distinguish ourselves to be different from other jewelers. More than just price cuts, we give a different product itself.
Can you give a few more examples as how this helps? Because today I'm seeing a lot of retailers trying to go directly to manufacturers instead of wholesalers, or I'm seeing a lot of retailers try to evolve and
Yeah.
get their own designs.
So the whole thought is that we are into a fabrication mode. We are into product development. We've done this over years, and we can do it even not only for us but for others at the same time. We were the first license holders for Walt Disney worldwide. So wherein we got licenses of 40 Walt Disney properties, where we created collections for Walt Disney, which is a consumer products division based out of Paris. So our designs and our fabrication creation of 3D printed pieces were allowed to them to be retailed worldwide.
Wow.
So that's how we create a product. It's not that we have inspiration from something, but we literally create this line which is unique and first time in the world, which can be done as a product to be retailed over the counter by such a big conglomerate like Walt Disney. So things like that, this is important. This is where our expertise of creation comes in. So it's not just that we copy a design internationally and try to show that this is our inspiration of design and that's it. No, that doesn't work that way.
Right.
We actually created the product which is new, made it commercially viable, because only then it's a piece which can be retailed, and that's most important because we don't want a museum piece to be put on the floor.
Absolutely.
At the same time, it's a creation which is unique and not replicated from anywhere else. So these things are important as showing our expertise of the business category is concerned. Similarly, we have licenses. We even have of Yashraj Films. We did an entire line of DDLJ in those days and got an entire line created, which is again licensed with us. So that's matter of creation in the matter of product, and with the technology that we adapt, whether it is rendering, whether it is production, whether it is 3D printing on the floor to the product. We have even done 3D printing on the metal directly, more than resin based pieces. So it's across the line that we can play around with these things and get the product on the floor. Similarly, I have my own line where I'm personally into art.
Right.
I have my art pieces,
We can see.
which are then help me inspire into jewelry. So I have an entire line which is assigned by me, and that is art inspired jewelry. So that's again entirely 3D printed. I work with stubborn metals and stubborn gemstones to make a piece which is very unique. So my entire line is made in platinum to start with, which is again not done in India anywhere by any retailer or manufacturer. So it stands unique. In fact, Platinum Guild has endorsed it to be one of the unique ones that they've seen worldwide. So that's a matter of expertise that we look at, where the entire jewelry is created from my own artwork. So that shows how individualistic and how really new as a collection it is, and not a Western inspiration. Apart from that, we even use gemstones in the same manner, where in that collection the gemstones are cut to the design because they have to be finally inspired from the artwork and not vice versa.
Yeah, wow.
Normally you have a gemstone and you create a design of the gemstone.
Usually that happens.
We work the other way around.
Yeah, nice.
So it's just a matter of passion that we play around with such things to get something unique created for a consumer.
But that would become so challenging to source that
Yes, of
kind
course.
of gemstones and based on the design.
Yeah, based on the color also.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are pieces that we've sourced which are matching my artwork, and vice versa. So I have even cut gemstones to match the creation that we need to have on the artwork. And that's how it's a matter of passion and the flair that we have on creation of such pieces that we can do. We also feel there's a maturity level of the consumer that we are connected with, who appreciate such things and are looking forward to more unique pieces coming out. And that's the audience we are proud to be having.
In fact, it's such a niche that you'll naturally start attracting the best of the audiences out there.
Yes, it's again a mature audience. So
Yeah.
whether it's in India or overseas, they appreciate what's being created, and that's where we stand out differently.
So since you touched upon Disney, a question just popped up was that today a lot of people are saying that the new generation is not interested in jewelry. The Gen Z and the upcoming Gen Alpha are probably spending more on gadgets and things like that, and they may not be as interested in jewelry. And my theory is that it just seems like everybody's obsessed with the words Gen Z and Alpha and Millennials, and somewhere maybe it's not the generation, it's about just having disposable income at that particular age. Like, you're not going to see early 20s and late teens and mid 20s to be able to buy jewelry, diamond jewelry, and far-fetched collections. And
Although I think you'll be surprised.
yeah,
Yeah. I feel the younger generation has more command on their funds. I've seen them working well. In fact, the graduates and postgraduates that we are seeing around are having good disposable income. Today we have an audience which is, you can say, in the range of 28 to 35 for getting married, and they have very good disposable income. And it's not that they shy out of jewelry. In fact, I feel they're very focused on what they want to buy. They are very well educated on the product category, and their knowledge is very seriously invested in when they come out to buy jewelry. So it becomes very easy for us to communicate certain things technically because we appreciate that they understand it. And whether it's the grades of the diamond, or to whether the cut of the diamond, and to the way the colors of the diamond, everything is kind of already done by them. And when they come in, it's not just by with a blind cuff that give me something good. No, they're very specific as to what they want. And the good part is we've even seen that the couple invest in their own wedding bands, not the family. That didn't happen in my case, but I'm glad that this generation appreciates that, that it's done with their own salary. And normally we have a benchmark of understanding internationally where a wedding band is 2.5 to 3 months of salary invested in, which is a good value today, we feel, from this young audience, to what they're buying. And that's really appreciating.
Nice. So 28 to 35 is the age group. Get the right audience. So taking this further, what I want to understand from you is there is too many things happening in your store in terms of the kind of designs. You have your own collection, you have polki jewelry, you have wedding based jewelry, you have lightweight. Like I was just having a look around, and just too many varieties. Doesn't that make the sourcing more challenging? Or like today's jeweler, what should they do? Should they focus on a niche and then diversify, or should they be a little bit generic and keep a little bit of everything?
So as I said, it's an evolution. A collection of this kind doesn't happen overnight. It's literally taken 100 years. So obviously my vendors, my manufacturing capacities, and my connect has evolved over time. Hence we have a very huge collection and very wide offering, whether it's even bullion bars to polki jewelry or to platinum 3D printed jewelry, which is again unique in its own way. So these things have evolved over time. What I would obviously suggest a new entrant is to stay focused to start with, and not replicate things that they are seen. Evolve it through time, and what you create is specifically what you demand. Do not sell what is liked by you alone and not demand it. So listen to the consumers well. That's the core aspect. Listen to your audience that you're connecting to and create things for the audience.
You just hit the right nail when you said it took you 100 years to evolve till here.
Yeah.
Now, the new generation entrepreneur is not so patient, unfortunately. So if you had to give some tips about how to build that trust and that brand much faster, what would it be? Or I would just rephrase, if you were to start over again today, how would you start?
Firstly, I don't believe in crash courses. Nothing happens as a crash course. We ourselves are learning even now as to what things are required and how things change and adapt to them. And this is a learning exercise. I don't believe that there can be a capsule which I give you and it starts working tomorrow morning.
That is why we call this podcast Learnathon.
Yeah, so that's typically how it is. It's a reality of the situation. Consumers are changing, their demands are changing, and so is their reaction to products. I would feel the new entrants have to look at, as I said, speak to the audience more than selling a product. That's the difference that we also cater to. We don't simply sell a product which is on the floor. We understand what the consumer requirement is. Hence, the evolution of so many products have been done. We feel there are consumers requiring certain aspects, and those consumers are being catered in different manner. This is what one has to understand particularly. It's not necessary to deal with every consumer that you face on the floor and having, being capacity to service them. It's better you find your niche of a consumer and cater to them first. I would feel a qualitative sale is better than a quantitative one. So that's where it's really important that once you do a qualitative sale, you automatically build confidence in what you've done because you've given the best in that particular category of product only, and not simply spread thin because you want to have every customer walking into Bandra or in the city and hence you want to touch base with them. That doesn't happen. It's important to stay focused as to a category because that's the initial capacity one has.
Right.
Whether it is financial, whether it is knowledge, or whether it is the supply, everything is limited in one's constraint. You cannot stretch thin and make it effective. And these are things which hamper the final product, whether it's a trust, whether it's the quality, or whether the price. Everything is based on how you focus on it.
Right. So, while they focus on, say, a particular category and the way you explained, but how does one then stand out in front of the current aggression of the contemporaries at a corporate level? Like you're literally seeing all these biggies just vying for the market share of the regional brand, of the local brand.
So every retailer or every trade has its own circle. It is not important to go national to be visible. It's important to go in your own circle, and that's where you convert.
Go deeper.
What's important is to have a better ROI than a wafer thin audience.
Right.
That's very important, and even from viability point of view, from a new entrepreneur, the ROI is most important. So that will be achieved only with the constraints on expansion, which simply spreads you thin. At the same time, it's not important that you compete with names in that manner. It's more important that you connect with a better consumer. So that's more important than having yourself on the front page of the Times of India to show that you're visible. I would prefer that with having a set of audiences whom you're catering to, exploiting your own capacities to the maximum to cater to that audience, more than spreading thin and trying to compete with things which are more superficial. I feel.
Right.
The ROI that one small entrepreneur can achieve is surely going to be much more than the biggies that you know about.
True. And today, because of digital, I think somewhere it gives us an advantage to put yourself in front of the, at least within your budget, within your deeper connections, you can pitch yourself. Taking this a little bit, deeper, all of this, how would it be possible without a team, right? So what I want to understand from you is, how did you realize and how did you go about thinking that you need somebody to help you with this or that? Like, which were your first few, team expansion steps that you took as you grew?
In fact, it's the other way around. I walked in when the team was existing.
Wow.
I had to evolve it from the primitive retail format to a digital format. And that is more difficult, I feel, because that's when you get a lot of resistance in every manner, whether it is technology used in your operations, whether technology, as I said, in communication, or even in showcasing your products. There's resistance in all these areas. Fortunately, I had my father who was quite futuristic in his approach. He was a chemical engineer, so his whole thought process was very different, unlike a retailer who in those days was not even probably even a graduate. Fortunately, I didn't have that part of resistance because I had a father who was probably acing in his category of knowledge, and he left the entire doors open for me to change and adapt to things. So that was my area of quite different approach where I came from. But of course, a lot of resistance from everybody else in the team, because that's typically how it comes up. Because you're one of the youngest in the entire company, trying to work your way out. and least experienced, because that's what they can boast of, which I couldn't at that point of time. But it's a matter of time, it's evolution. As I said, things change, and things that I put across proved well, whether it is little on the longer run or on the way things were put across as technology. It proved well from operations, and we could help expand the company at the same time. We were a single store operation in Opera House. Then we got Bandra and now have 10 stores in Dubai. So a lot of technology helped us to achieve those things. And this is how the things move. So for the new ones, in fact, I feel it's quite easy. You don't need to explain no one that goods can be sold online. It's the speed at which you can sell is what is being explained today, more than anything else. When we started e-commerce, I said in '99, we were the first payment gateway service retailer by the banks, because jewelry was not in the allowed list for e-commerce for a payment gateway service. We were literally the first ones to be allotted the e-commerce license for payment gateway. So these things are different. Today it's a piece of cake. You can shoot a chat WhatsApp to Razorpay and they'll install it for you in no time.
Within 1 hour it happens.
Yeah, and they better do it, because otherwise they'll lose their own business. So this is how things are different today. Logistics is there over a click of a button today. In our days, there was no logistic network to handle jewelry. It was literally done by Angarias and exports if it's overseas in the same monotonous manner.
Yeah.
But that's changed today. So I feel today for a new startup, it's very easy to understand the technological run, to open a social media account or to open a website. Today there are thousands of agencies who are there on waiting for you to say yes.
There's
and
AI now.
Yeah, so it's all there as a subject. So it's not difficult for somebody to start today. I feel they're already on a pace up. Yes, of course, but they have to compete with larger houses to make them visible, for which they have to stay focused. And I feel there's always space for more entrants coming in.
So how did you go about, but like in the sense, I'm coming back to the same question, how did you build your team? Like you have clearly shows that you're adaptive. You knew how to be the first mover in a lot of things, from technology, from digital, each and every aspect. But this is one thing that I'm hearing from a lot of our students, alumni, that they are facing a lot of pain in hiring, in team building, in sorting that space out, and that is taking away so much of their energy.
I feel it's not taking away energy. It's the energy which is required to be done. You have to invest that energy, because it's like saying I picked up a ready-made platform and I'm sitting on it. I don't think that's going to be as productive as what you create yourself. So invest a lot of time in your team. Invest a lot of time in training the team, which is the crux of the matter. There's nothing which comes as a ready-made platter to you, and don't think of it to be an outsourced format. It doesn't happen. Unless you don't create your own subject, your own team who faces every move of your company, it won't happen. So I don't see there's a ready-made or an easy way out. If that's what you're asking for, there's nothing easy in that. It has to be as difficult as possible, because only then it creates it's like sculpting. If you sculpt it yourself, you're going to get the perfect piece, because finally you're going to see that sculpture every day. And it's not a ready-made sculpture you can pick up and place it in your store and assume it to be appreciated. So it doesn't happen. You have to invest a lot of time, and it's a learning exercise. It's not something which is going to happen overnight. You will keep learning, and you will learn your own pits and falls going ahead. And that's the way work should be, I feel.
Yeah, right. So you mentioned that you also have an in-house digital team.
Yes.
And why do you think an in-house digital team is required? Like today, there are so many agencies, so much.
So as I said, we've evolved through time. We've done it when there were no agencies in the picture. We've done it when technology of e-commerce was not available. We've learned it out, and we've evolved with the technology. By now, we feel we are equivalent to an agency or probably better. So we don't mind having it in-house, and we know the way out. That's how I see it. So we understand the way things are moving, and fact that we have our own team, I can forecast again something better coming ahead, and that's where we can get more responsive. Like I said, we adapted AR, AI around 3 years back. We've adapted other technologies way in advance of the current scenario also. And we're still learning because there's no end to this technology, Rat. And being my own passion also into technology, I can connect to it better. And there are certain risks that we have to take on technology runs, which is a routine. Because it's our own thing, we don't mind doing that, you know.
True.
I don't want to wait for the other agency to learn it and then I adapt it. I prefer do it myself.
It's fun.
It's fun because it's my passion.
Yeah.
It's not out of compulsion. It's not out of some reporting that I have to do. I learn with it, and I'm happy about it.
So do you see that in today's times a separate digital strategy is more important, or do you still continue to see this as, you know, a one wholesome picture of marketing and branding, you know? So,
No, digital is no more just a marketing outfit.
yeah.
It's a parallel enterprise. It's not a shortcut. It is not in a piecemeal manner. You have to take it the fullest manner, and there are no abbreviations to it. The whole subject of digital is across the vertical of a company. It's not a separate entity which is just lying on the corner and you use it for a flair of it to show how progressive you are. It's in a practical way of utility and running your entire enterprise. So there has to be a digital team in your company. And mind you, I don't mean digital by social media only. It is digital in every manner. The whole approach of your company has to be with a digital backbone. And that's the way it runs. There's no alternative to it. From the basic entries of operations to the way you communicate with the audience and to the way you do your e-commerce and other things. Everything is digital today. There's nothing that you can shy out of. So there has to be somebody who is, if one doesn't have a flair, it's nothing wrong about it. Have somebody in the company who has a serious flair on it, and give them a free hand. That's what is more important. It's not necessary that every founder should be having a flair in technology, but allowing somebody to work on this aspect is unavoidable today.
So just to go deeper on that, so you mean to say that there has to be a digital team, not only from marketing point of view, but also from, say, ERP, CRM
Yes,
perspective.
it's a parallel
inventory,
enterprise.
accounting, operations.
Yes. Everywhere you need technology coming in. Everything is today digital. There's nothing that you're avoiding on your normal run except for the jewelry that we sell. There is a digital footprint everywhere that is created. Whether it is storing of your catalogs, whether it is using design to create pieces in the back end, whether it is communicating to the audience the same design rendered at par. Everywhere there is technology required, and there's nothing that you can shy out of.
Do you also see that many of your customers, new customers today, are discovering you online and then coming offline, or is it continues to remain a digital?
No, it's a mix of everything. I don't see just one path. It's entire mix of whether they're seeing me again online, having known the brand for over 100 years now, or they are being referred since I've got 3 generations of customers already catered to. So there is obviously a very strong referral, but the referral also is supported by a lot of digital communication. All this put together, the 360-degree approach is how things work. Nothing works only at one parameter of communication today.
With all of this, you know, you've kind of sorted a lot of things in your business. You seem to be a very calm person from how I have been conversing.
I hope so.
You seem like a very, you know what is happening, you know what is to be done. What challenges do you foresee in the retail landscape, and specifically for you as well, in the next few years, that you feel is, this, you need to be cautious of this particular aspect or that?
So there's always a need of expansion in certain areas which are required, and one keeps evolving on theories which are possible. Today, like you see the biggies, or you can say certain houses which have been evolved into jewelry as a category, has changed the dynamics of the entire trade. So though it may create a superficial or a temporary competitive scenario, on the long run, I don't feel it's really detrimental. It evolves the industry in a different manner. It gets you to a platform which is international, whereas retail is concerned. And these things are very important for us, the way we see things. It's important that you keep watching things around and, trying to get abreast with certain aspects which are required, whether it is an expensive mode, whether it is looking at international retail. Today, luxury retail has become very important. We've adapted jewelry and watches years ago. We were the first ones to launch Omega boutiques in India, which were not even there present way back in 2003, which is like 22 years ago, before which watches were sold in shoes and under the table. And that's typically how things were retail in places like Hirapanna and otherwise. We all understand, being in Bombay, such places have been known for shabby retail. And this is where we evolved. We've helped the brands like the Swatch Group and the LVMH to help develop retail in India. And this is where our retail expertise comes in. So we understand the luxury retail which happens internationally. In India, fortunately, the luxury retail is dominated by jewelry, which is very different to international retail, where luxury goods, apart from jewelry, dominate the luxury industry. So this is the good part of the place that we are in, where our category of products is dominating. And to help us expand further is what we keep evolving ideas about. And it's not something which I can explain in a piecemeal, but it's a learning exercise which keeps happening.
In terms of adaptation, what is your opinion on the way a lot of new entrants are coming in and categorizing lab-grown diamond jewelry as a premium or a luxury brand? Do you see that, going further in future, or do you think things will change?
So, as I said, our competition in India always has been travel, white goods, and so on and so forth, which is competitive to our category of business. I don't see lab grown as a competition to our business. Popley as a company may not be interested in lab grown as a category, but nevertheless, we understand the industry on the whole. We feel it has helped in a certain way of allowing manpower, sustaining of that manpower, which was getting eroded for various reasons, economic and government policy basis. So there are many things which are changing. With lab grown, suddenly this push has helped sustain those jobs, sustain development of products. And also an important aspect was that consumers who could not afford to buy a solid diamond and a higher end piece of diamond are trying to have lab grown as the entry purchase. We are very happy about it as long as they stick to the industry. Whereas the category is concerned, particularly, we all understand that this consumer who is today buying a lab grown has always aspired and will aspire to buy a real diamond, which is a natural diamond. So which is the good part of it. So as long as they are trying to enter the category at a lower end strata, it's a good subject. They're sticking to the category more than buying another piece of white goods and draining that money out. So for me, as an industry on the whole, I feel it's not negative. However, the communication to consumer has to be very clear, which is what is our main criteria of this subject, where they should not be misled. At the same time, the pricing, which is currently grey in lab grown, has to be more crystallized. And that's where the whole consumer confidence sustains.
Very nice and very, very optimistic way to put it. So taking this further, like what I see this as is that today there is no more a lab grown versus natural. I think both have figured out their own journey.
Precisely.
And they have positioned themselves in their own space.
That's right.
So there's just evolution. What is your message to then still those people? Because whenever I see LinkedIn, whenever I see, there's still a lot of people, a lot of jewelers, a lot of diamond heads still arguing over lab grown, natural, this, that. What is your message?
I think they should have more better content. They need to evolve out of it and be individualistic. The whole, you can say, the craving or the aspect that me as a jeweler and many others are looking out for is new creations, which is what is currently missing. Unfortunately, lab grown has not given us that part. what energy or the investment of time one has to put in is to create new products. Lab grown has simply gone into replication mode and given a cheaper alternative. That's the sad positioning of the category. It could have created its own niche by creating a line, creating something which is unique to its collection and adding value to the consumer's wardrobe. That is what is important across lines, whether it is in natural diamonds or in otherwise. So these things are more important for us, and then automatically content is created. Today, when you look at pieces which are in internationally retailed as Pandora or as Swarovski, and likewise, they create their lines. They invest a lot of effort, intellect, and technology to create such lines which are unique and which can be recognized as their brand. The Indian consumers demand such things today, and our manufacturers and retailers have to understand this subject very clearly. In the luxury industry, the only reason jewelry doesn't come at par many a times is because it is not identifiable. You identify a Rolex watch, hence you pay 100 times to what the commodity content of the watch is.
Right.
You pay a 1 million plus for a steel watch. So it's n number of times for just looking at the brand name. In a jewelry where you're spending gold, diamond, platinum, and you're not able to price it well, in fact, you cut it down with competition for the reason that you're not unique.
Sure.
So it doesn't stand out as a identifiable product. Hence, the luxury brand is not being created. There are certain lines of international brands like a Tiffany or a Cartier where you can recognize them as the brand. That's the effort they put in communicating, creating those lines, however basic they be. That's what is importantly required from jewelers in India, where their lines can be identified and say that this is so-and-so's line and it is identified as that.
Sure.
Only then the consumer is able to identify the value of the brand. So this is what is lacking. I feel the new manufacturing technologies which are being used should be focused in creating something unique for the brand.
This was a lot of, the entire explanation was a lot of value to a lot of aspiring brands. So thank you for that. Do you think the industry overreacts to gold prices?
I don't think so. I feel the media overreacts to gold prices. Industry is in the sway. They move with the sway, the way it goes. And of course, everybody feels the pinch, whereas investment is concerned, whether it's the retailer, whether it's the consumer, likewise. But what's important to understand is the Indian consumer believes in the metal only when it's appreciating.
True.
If it doesn't, the faith in the metal is at stake. That's one part of it. The other is that as a consumer, Indians have always invested in the metal, come what may. Whether it's the household in the lady in the house, or whether it's the investing husband. They believed in the metal at every stage throughout their life, and this is passed on through generations. So it's nothing new for an Indian consumer to go out and buy gold, even if they don't need it. So this is the way we've been culturally put across. Hence, we always call gold as a mythological metal. It's been there with our divinity to the current scenario. It doesn't move out. Coming back to the gold rates is concerned, it's an area of touching base with commodity investments, which is very vibrantly seen on social media, on television networks, and we always compare this to a Sensex, compared to other commodities and other various aspects, and it comes into the conversation at every point of time.
Right.
So apart from it being a fashion, luxury, and a commodity, it comes into an investment angle very easily.
Right.
So the entire noise of an appreciating metal or prices is more loud and clear, more than anything else. However, the consumer, I don't feel, is affected that easily with such movements. They simply look at stable prices at whichever level it be. If it's 1 lakh, it is 1 lakh. If it's 90,000, it's 90,000.
Right.
I feel any stability gives you an immediate conversion of sale. That's how it is.
Nice. So just to conclude, do you remember any memories of having learned under Kirit?
Yes, of course. In fact, those were my early days at the store, and the proximity of Kirit office less than 100 meters away from my store was the first incentive to connect to him, and because prior to which I was not very familiar with his teaching expertise. But I remember going into a room which was less than 100 square feet in size, and where I could see him humbly sitting down and teaching every piece, every characteristic of a diamond. And as a new entrant into the industry, for me everything was fascinating at that point of time, especially learning about diamonds, which was not you can say in an educative manner taught to me over techniques which are related in the industry. What I remember was good was something which was very hands-on with him, since he was teaching the entire exercise himself. Also because he was adapted in the industry in the colloquial manner of training. So the blend of the two was very important for me. It was not just a theoretical exercise which was dumped onto me and forced as an education, but the colloquial way of representing things and relating it to how it would be on the retail floor also helped me a lot. So I still have clear memories of how it was and exactly how the room was where I used to go regularly, learning about diamonds. And it's good to know that you all have evolved in this manner where now the next generation has taken up a more formal educative route to promote the subject. It's pretty good.
Thank you, Rajiv, for doing this. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure, anytime.